because God had already allowed me to understand what it means, and give me the understanding of being in battle and
Mm-hmm.
being in practice. Okay, okay. So what happens? I mean, because I'm prior military, you understand about the exercises. You have
Mm-hmm.
that. They prepare you for battle. They
Yes.
prepare you for battle. It may not be a wartime. It may not be wartime, but they don't wait until wartime to train you for wartime. They train you
Exactly.
during times of peace, so that when the battle comes, you'll know what to do. You
Mm-hmm.
won't panic. I mean, you'll know what to do. So I related that to the spiritual concept of where I am. Don't wait until the battle's over. You got to praise God now.
Yes.
You know that there's a battle that's coming.
Yes.
And so when it came, it was okay. So now I got to put everything that I learned into practice. Now
Into
it's time.
practice.
Now it's time.
Hi.
Well, hello.
Well, hi guys. Welcome to Chemo Glow, where the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. Think I am getting feedback. Do y'all hear that? Where the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. Okay, hold on, guys. I was getting some feedback here. So I'm going to start over, okay? All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Chemo Glow. Stuff happens, things happen, but I'm so happy that you guys are joining me tonight. Please make sure you check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please share, follow, and subscribe. Also, check out our podcast. We're available. Chemo Glow is celebrating Black History Month. We have been honoring men and celebrating our caregivers, thrivers, and survivors. My guest tonight is a father, a husband, a grandfather, and a thriver. But before he comes on, I really want to thank everybody for continuing to support the Glow. If you're interested in being on our show to share your glow, please email us at chemoglow@gmail.com. All right, guys, I'm so excited. Pastor Rick Barber, come on on. Come on again. uh, hello, hello.
Tell you something. That was good. That was good. You did a good job.
I was getting feedback.
I heard it.
And I think, did you hear the feedback?
I heard it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it was throwing me off. I couldn't figure out where it was coming from and was doubled up. So we were just talking about, yeah. And we were just talking about before the show how perfect everything was. But that's what we get for planning, right? Right. That is what we get for planning. Well, thank you for being on my show.
Absolutely.
I really
thank you for having me.
You were your podcast, which was episode 13. I really enjoyed it. I was actually listening to it right before we came on, before the battle. Like you talked about before the battle and practicing before the battle, which I get and I understand. So explain to us, well, tell us a little bit about yourself first before we go all the way back then.
Okay. Well, I guess one of the the many milestones that has happened in since the last time that we talked was that me and my wife celebrated our 28th anniversary, which was great. And the exciting thing about that is that we've known each other since 5th grade. She was like my very first girlfriend in 5th grade, if that's possible, right? And so we have a lot of memories there. You know, both born and raised in Philadelphia. Went to school in Philadelphia, graduated together, and all that. And so anyway, I go into the military. Spent 13 years in the military, and then we moved down here. I didn't want to raise the kids in Philadelphia, so moved down here, and then what else did I do? Started working at Fayetteville State some time ago, and
now you're retired.
I just retired.
It'll be a year, March 17th, right?
On December 31st was my last day.
Was your last day?
Was my last day.
Then on March 17th was your.
March 17th was actually my last real day. March 16th was my last day of real work because I had surgery on the 16th, and then I was on convalescence, and then the pandemic hit. They shut it down, and so I went back to work maybe 5 days, between March 16th and December 31st.
Oh wow!
So, ta-da! What a way to go out! That's the best year of my life.
So what you been doing?
Well, pastoring and okay. So I'm the pastor at the Restoration Place in Fayetteville. My wife and I, Pastor Van, and you know, so
yes.
But yeah, been doing that. Been doing that since actually been a pastor since 2013. I was actually the pastor of Soul Hope Mills from 2013 to 2016. And so in 2016, we started our own ministry. And so we've been doing that since then. Okay. And so now we're still growing that, but since the pandemic, and a lot of our congregants, they're actually older. They're older. And we haven't been back into the building since March. So we've been doing everything live and streaming and all of that. And so that's pretty much what we've been doing. But what's come even from that is the opportunity for us to feed the community, which is Feed NC Now. And so Feed NC Now has we've served we served over 4,000 families.
Wow.
During the pandemic. So we're looking to do a lot more than that. And I think the numbers are even higher than that, but I think they're higher than that. But I've really stopped counting, because what matters is getting this food to them. So we partner with Second Harvest Food Bank, and we're doing well with them. That is great. I'm still the president of Cruising Against Cancer. So we're getting ready to get that up and running again, because of course, you know, there's no boats out on the ocean. You know, so we're trying to figure out ways in order to do that. And so Cruising Against Cancer, Feed NC Now, they're working together. And so we're looking at doing some other things with them to try to help and get, you know, because people are still going through it. Not only are they dealing with the pandemic, but now you got the pandemic and what they're going through. With, you know, whether the bout with cancer or whatever form that is. And we were just talking about, you know, the many forms of cancer. So it's a trying time right now. It's a trying time right now, but that's what I've been doing. What you been doing?
Trying to get this podcast up and running. I'm in my second season of Chemo Glow. Again, where the glow doesn't define me, I define the glow. And I am looking for people who are defining their glow. And I'm asking you, what are you doing now? Because you're definitely defining your glow. A lot of people think when I say that, I'm thinking about, you losing hair coming back. But no, I'm talking about how are you defining your glow now?
Right.
Yeah, and you're doing it. And you're doing it in so many ways. We'll come back to talking about cruising against cancer. And then, Feed and See Now. You guys were in Dunn, Fayetteville, all over. You're partnering up with what you say, Second Harvest Food Bank?
Second Harvest Food Bank. And so we're actually this week, we were in Spring Lake last week. And this week we're going to be in St. Paul's.
Oh, wow. So
we're constantly moving. We've got we're coming back to Fayetteville. We'll be in Clinton. We're going to be, so we're just constantly grabbing dates because people are in need. So they're calling us, will you come out here? Come here. And so, thank God for that. Really, I'm just so humbled that God has connected us, because it could have been anybody else.
Yes.
But he's chosen us for this. Yes. And I'm excited about it. And one thing is that we want to be good stewards over everything that he's given us. And we don't want to take it for granted. We don't want to get heady. Well, can't do it without me. Can't do it without me. If it wasn't for me. No. See, you missing. You get an attitude like that, you are destined for a fall.
Yes.
You're destined for it. And we don't want to do that. We want to remain as humble as possible, be as pliable as possible, so that when God starts to shape us, we're willing to go into that shape. It's hard to try to shape a brick. You can't do that.
Say that again.
Chisel this thing, but when you're putty in God's hands, he can shape you and mold you whichever way he wants, because he knows that you're willing to do it. You're willing to do it. So yeah, that's an awesome thing to be able to be in God's hands.
Yeah.
And wanting to be there.
Your give back is great and so amazing. Now, some of y'all don't know. I know Rick from way back. All right, he knows me from the Ville, and he knows my family. And you've seen us be bricks, right? You've seen me be a brick, right? And just like you said, it's hard to mold or move when that person's not ready.
That's right.
And if you have stuff layered on top of you, it gets harder. Now think about the pandemic. Before the pandemic hit, people were going through cancer. Cancer didn't stop because the pandemic hit. Right. No, that's right. Cancer was still tapping people on the shoulders and kicking down doors. That's right. That's right. Creeping in. So layering that on top of everything else is so important, that we go and we have a give back, and that we are talking to folks and we are doing things. So let's talk about how you got here. Now, you told me about your lovely wife. You met, you moved, then you were diagnosed when? When were you diagnosed, and what was your diagnosis?
My diagnosis was prostate cancer, and that was 2010, 2011. I think that date. You know what? I was trying to remember, because I'm saying, I forgot. I forgot exactly what the date was, because he's made me whole again. I was talking to somebody today, and just talking about how God will make you forget those things. It's you remember the picture, but you forget some of the details. And so check this out. I was talking to a caterer that used to work with us at Fayetteville State. And she was talking about how she was having trouble trying to understand and listen and hear the voice of God, and we started talking about how pretty much the same thing, how important it is for you to be able to hear him. And so I gave her a couple of exercises and so forth and so on. But she was talking about, she realized that it's like having a baby. Yeah. You can't explain it. Now I don't know nothing about that, but she was saying she related it to, she's had children. I think she has 3 children, all grown, and trying to relate what was going on with having the baby. Said, about having the baby, but trying to explain the pain. You forget the pain that's associated with it, because the arrival of this new life means so much more. So you forget about all the other stuff. And it's amazing how God can help you forget that part. You forget the pain, but you rejoice on the life, you know? And so it's the same thing with us. When, you know, you're diagnosed with these things and you go through them, Okay, so now here you are. You get on the other side of it. And once you get on the other side of it, now it's like, oh, God brought me through this. Yes, I did have it, but now I don't. And I don't remember everything that I went through. There's instances, yes, you know, it's like when I was riding the bike, you know, and you fall off and you get one of these things on your elbow, you know, and you forget the pain, but the scar is still there.
The scar is still there.
The scar is still there. You and it's there to remind you, I got that. I got that when I fell. I got that when, you know, and so you understand and you remember those things, but it's just hard to remember the pain associated with it.
I actually was I was on a call. They're asking me to do a video of my experience with radiation. And I truly forgot all of it. All I knew that it wasn't the best experience. And then when I thought about it, I was like, are you sure you want me to tell you about how my experience was? Because it wasn't that great. You know, if I have to talk about customer service, this is where it would be. And they said, yes, we do. That's why we want to make the video. So no one else will experience what you experienced.
Right.
I was like, okay, as long as it's not a fluff piece, because I'm not into doing fluff pieces. I think we should learn
need to be real
when we're going through and be real about our feelings, because everybody's different. You know, they call it a journey. I just says my walk, you know?
Yeah.
So everybody's walk, everybody's journey, everybody's glow is different. So when you were diagnosed, who was there with you?
When I was diagnosed, my son was there.
Okay.
When I actually got the information, my son was there.
How did that
go? He was more upset than I was, you know. Oh, Dad, you know, because not too long before that, I just lost my mother and my father. Lost both of them 2 weeks apart. And you know, I was dealing with that, you know, because, you know, my mom was like, man, you know, and I'm the only child, you know, so it made it really hard. But then, you know, listening to, you know, him about, well, you know, he's asking all the questions. And I'm like, you know, and that goes back into what I shared last time, is that the first thing that comes to my mind is that now here's the battle. And I'm not afraid because I've been practicing all this time, you know, and listening to God and you trusting God. And now when you're faced with something, you don't ask God, well, why me?
Yeah.
You know, well, why not you? Because because what he's given to you, what he's trained you for, now you have to put into action. You have to utilize all the talents and the training that you've gotten. Now's the time to put that in action. Why? You know, you see people that are training to be karate experts.
Yeah.
So what do? They go into the dojo and they, you know, do their thing, you know, practice. They're practicing so that when they have to call these skills out, when they're attacked or whatever the case may be, it's not that they're going out looking to beat people up. Well, not everybody. Some people may be looking to get back at somebody that tortured them in school. You know, but for the most part, you know, everybody just using it as a self-defense mechanism. It gives them confidence and all that. And that's the same thing, you know, even in our walk with God. He helps to give us confidence as we continue to train through his methods. It's his method, not your own. So you got to go through things in order to let you know where you are. How are you going to know that you've graduated from this thing unless you're tested with it before? You know, or right now you're being tested or trained. Nobody goes to third grade without passing the second grade.
No one. You have to practice the exercise, and that's why I named this live
I
practicing the
know.
exercise, right? Because we talked about, the battle from afar with the podcast, right? And
Mhm.
that's the first thing I wrote down, practicing the exercise, because that's what you've been doing. And now that you practice the exercise, you've been diagnosed, your son is there.
Mhm.
You've lost your mother, your father, you're the only one. You're practicing the exercise,
Right.
which is so important. And after you were diagnosed, what was your treatment?
Well, I did radiation.
Mm-hmm.
I did 26 treatments of radiation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a challenge because I had to go from Fayetteville because they didn't treat me at the Fayetteville VA. I had
Mm-hmm.
to go to Durham, and the great part about that was that I was being treated by Duke doctors
Mm-hmm.
at the VA. Wonderful. You know, um, my wife was really supportive, but she couldn't go because she was working. So I stayed up in Durham um, doing my weeks of treatment. But
Mm-hmm.
the greatest part about that was that my son was there, and I also had another son that was staying in Cary at the time.
Oh,
So when I went up there, it's like, okay, they put me up in a hotel, which was cool, you
yeah.
know. So yeah, I was able to spend time with my grandkids, spend time with my son and his family, or sons and their
Yeah.
family. And yeah, I mean, and that's why it wasn't like I was all alone. And even though my wife, we talked on the phone, we did all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But even though she wasn't there, it wasn't as if I was alone.
You had
See,
family.
some people don't have anybody,
Yeah.
and they're going through this all by themselves. And I feel blessed to be able to say I had a wife, I had children, grandchildren, that I was able to spend this time with, even though, like you said, radiation wasn't the easiest thing to go. I've got some experience. I could tell you. Hey, listen, tell them to call me. I could tell them something. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't the easiest thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the worst thing either.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
could have been things that were a whole lot worse where I wouldn't have been able to get around. And I mean, it took a while for my body to adjust. My mind had to adjust because I was still going through this, and there were changes that was happening in my body. That a lot of it I didn't even talk to anybody about because, God's got it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to go through it, and so that was the biggest thing for me, was to constantly remind myself that God is here with me.
Mm-hmm.
He's not afar. He's not way out there. He's right here. And I share the things with him that were so important at the time, the things that I needed at the time. But that was another lesson because it taught me how to deal with him right now through everything.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that. He was able to bring me through that, but he also showed me how to get through this and this over here and this tiny thing and this big thing, all of these things he was able to do because he can do it all. And we just have to trust him at this level. It's a new level. And we have to remember that he is just that big a God and just that personal of a God. He's right there.
So at that time, you had your family.
Mm-hmm.
Who else was your support system? Did you have because you were receiving treatment in a whole nother city.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you were back at home, how did that go for you? You talked about in the podcast, we talked about where you were working at the time, and you were the man. You were behind the scenes at a church, making sure everything was done, and coming back from that. How was that transition from, like you said, radiation wasn't great, but it was something I needed to do to be here today.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
how was it the transition back to going back to work and to living your life?
Again, it was just that. It was a transition.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you have to when you're going through a life change,
Mm-hmm.
when you're going through um, a, a major change.
Yeah.
Because that cancer is major. I mean,
Yeah.
because listen, I understand it. Cancer took out my uncle, my grandmother, my mother. They didn't really know what happened to my father, but I think it was some form of blood cancer that they did not. That's me. Um, a lot of family members I had experienced this cancer thing, and so the first thing, truthfully, the first thing that came to my mind was, is this going to be it for me too? But immediately following that question came God's support as to, I got you, don't worry, I got you, and so that he says that to me all the time. I got you,
I got
so
you.
when I got these questions, when I have these questions about things and not sure about things, but anyway, when I got back to work, because I was always the one that was, I'll run down the aisle because I worked at Fayetteville State at the Seabrook Auditorium or any auditorium, because I was always behind the scenes doing sound, doing lights, productions, and that kind of thing. So it was always my thing to, like run down the aisle and jump on the stage. That was just my thing. And don't take the steps, jump on the stage. Because now you're getting older, and so you've got to keep yourself. Got to keep yourself up in that. Try to keep yourself looking young, even if you ain't, be young in your mind.
There you go.
So I was doing that, but then when I came back, it was like I had no energy, and it became a little depressing for me, because now my life has changed. It wasn't like I was used to, and so again, I really started questioning that. And I'm asking God, is this it? I mean, am I going to be like this? Am I going out like this? And one day, me and my friend Terrell, he's always been there. He's always been my partner since we met. Since I started going to Enso. That's where I met him. And so Enso Fellowship Church, Fayetteville, North Carolina. They're on the web. I ain't mad at them because that ministry taught me so much. Yeah. But anyway, he was working with me for some time, and we were backstage. I'll never forget this. We were backstage, and we were working, and things that I was able to do with no sweat was a big feat. It was it took a lot out of me.
Yeah.
And I just stood there one day, and I was winded. I was like, I can't do nothing else. And I sat down, and I put my head down, and I just started crying. I just started crying. And Terrell said, "Man, you all right?" I said, "Man, I can't do it." He said, "Man, don't worry about it. I got your back, man. Don't worry about it." He said, "Man, you got to take," he went into all of that. You got to take care of yourself. You just coming back. He's reassuring me, all the things that I was questioning in myself. Now here's the other thing. God will put these people in your life.
Yeah.
Godly advice. And you have to be willing to listen. Because sometimes you got to go somewhere and sit down. Go somewhere and sit down. You don't have to prove. You don't have to prove anything to anybody. Go somewhere, sit down.
Yeah, I had those friends. They would tell me, go somewhere, sit down. Regina, we have you.
Right.
My husband, go somewhere and sit down. Just go be. Just breathe. That was his thing. Just breathe and have your moment.
Right.
Those are the two things that I need you to do, is breathe and have your moment. Now, we jumped a little bit ahead, but I want to talk about what were the symptoms before. What made you go to the doctor? What was happening before you were diagnosed?
Well, I started seeing blood where I shouldn't have been seeing no blood. That's an issue. Yeah. That's an issue. And but here's the thing. I was going for my regular checkups. I was going for my regular checkups. And when I was 35, and your when they check your prostate, they say, well, it's a little soft, but we'll be all right. So you take this right here and you should be okay. So, and I did, took it till it was gone, and so, it was just one of those things. And so after that, no problem, so go to my annual checkups. And then, like I said, one of the things was, dealing with, blood in my urine, blood in my stool, that kind of thing. And, then of course, then you have your intimacy issues. And so, you really got to watch that. And so when you really start having, okay, now we really got a problem, so, okay. So, and went to the doctor and they started doing the test and, during the test time, I remember my wife went with me, Van went with me to to one of the tests, to a biopsy test.
Yeah. I can't imagine, because I know what a biopsy is for a woman, myself, the breast. So
yeah, and you're awake doing this,
Yeah.
I left out. I had another pastor that was there with me, and my wife, and so they were there, as a support. And so I came out, and I was in a little pain, but I will never forget this. When I got in that car, and for whatever reason, the pain came on me so bad. I cried so bad. It was a shame. I was embarrassed, but I didn't care.
When that pain hits.
Yeah. And so my wife said, Rick, are you in pain?
Yeah.
It was almost like you couldn't even speak. It was so, and now that pain I will never forget. That was bad. But that's when, of course, when the biopsy came back, it came back positive, meaning that I was positive for cancer. So,
Well, I've been talking to caregivers who are men. What about your wife? How was Van during this time, hearing that news, seeing you cry, seeing you in a different spot? She's seen you when you had the loss of your parents, but now being that caregiver to you. How did that affect your marriage?
Well, she's just always been there. So I mean, it's like, what can you say when it comes to your marriages? You got good times, you got bad times, but when the time hits when you really need that support, aren't you expected to step up and do what needs to be done? Aren't you expected to be right? It is not always just the good times and bad times, richer and poorer, through sickness and health.
What was crazy for me when I was engaged, a lot of times people was like, he still married you knowing you were sick? I was like, well, what kind of man am I marrying?
Right.
If he can't be with me through sickness and in health.
Right.
And when we said those words, we were going through that at that time. Wow. So, but then I realized a lot of people do experience that. A lot of people do experience their loved one leaving them in this crisis. They'll leave you for less.
Oh, absolutely.
So being a caregiver, I've been celebrating the men all month. But what about the women who step up, right? And step in.
That's right.
That nurturing side from your families, from your friends, because they're the ones relaying, hey, how's he doing? They're calling her. They're calling you too, but they really calling her. Right.
That's right.
They're really calling her. And I used to really think about, now that that it's going on 10 years out, I remember my husband had to answer all those questions because I was not talking to anybody at that time.
Right.
And that puts that on them. So what about them? And I think the caregiver gets lost sometimes because you're being diagnosed, but they're still going through with you.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. And they don't, you know, that person may not want to talk. That person may not have energy, may not, you know, have the patience, you know, to be dealing with folks that are just calling to be nosy. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
because
I call them snowflakes. Those are your snowflakes because they disappear like in a blink of the eye. We have a question here. Did any of the medical staff prepare you for the biopsy by explaining what you're going to be experiencing? Did they tell you what was going on?
nope.
No. Isn't that crazy?
Nope. Nope. They did not. I didn't know what to expect. And I guess I'm so trusting. So I didn't do any research, you know. I mean, even though, you know, it hasn't been that long ago, so the research was out there.
Yeah.
You know, type it in, you know.
Yeah.
But I didn't because I was trusting God. I'm sorry. That's the bottom line. So to answer the question, questioner, no, I was not prepared for that. Not at all.
And they tell you stay off the web. If you have questions, call our nurses. They don't want you to look up stuff and run from treatment, right? Or put treatment on. Because there was a couple of things like they told me I was going to have a sunburn for radiation. Absolutely not. Skin falling off. That is not a sunburn. Absolutely not. So that's one of the things about the video that I'm doing. I don't want a fluff piece. Tell people what's going to happen. You don't have to scare them. But let them know.
I mean, but you tell them the facts, though.
Yeah, like I'm going to do this, and it's going in this place, and it probably will hurt.
Right.
On a scale too.
I didn't get any of that, and that was the VA here in Fayetteville. So it's like,
was treatment different from one hospital from Fayetteville to Duke?
Oh, absolutely.
What advice would you have for veterans who are in the military and they're seeking other hospitals? Would you tell them to look elsewhere?
The VA in Durham was great to me. The staff there were really nice, and radiation oncology. Those folks were awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, they really were. They were caring.
Yeah,
you know, and they were personable. You know, they understood what. Well, let me put it like this, but I can only speak from my experience. They understood what I was going through, you know, and so they were willing to do whatever needed to be done in order for me to maximize my treatment.
Yeah,
you know, and so that's important, you know, and I think that if they did it for me, they would do it for everybody else.
Well, Erica Mack asks, do you feel like they sugarcoat the side effects of treatments?
I mean, from a personal standpoint, well, you know what? Well, okay, going back to the biopsy piece, that was one organization. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it was still the VA, but it was here in Fayetteville. And whether it was those doctors or whether that particular doctor.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, you know, and I think it probably was that particular doctor. Because every doctor doesn't have a good bedside manner. You know, they just don't, you know. So, but my doctor in Durham, it was like night and day.
Yeah.
It was like night and day. So, so to answer the question, do they sugarcoat it? I think it just depends on the doctor.
It depends on the doctor. My doctor at UNC, very direct. My husband said he trusted her once she looked me in the eye and said, "This is what's going to happen." The other doctor said I was going to get a new set of tatas. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make it. You know, this is not cosmetic surgery here.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like you are actually removing this because something is trying to kill you.
Something's trying to kill you, right?
Yes. Okay. So sorry I'm late. Did you get all of your treatment at the VA?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
between Fayetteville, North Carolina, and between and Durham, North Carolina. Those were my two places of treatment.
Okay.
I still get calls from Durham because they actually conducted the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
They did the treatment plan. So my doctor was named Dr. Laura, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was just getting ready to get married, at the time. And, her and her husband, I think they're both doctors or something like that. So they go to these weird places like Bora Bora, and all that. I'm like, you want to go there? But, we had and have a good relationship. And so at the time I was just getting started with Cruising Against Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And, she would always ask me about how's the organization going and so forth and so on. And so amazing how, again, the difference in locale,
yes,
the difference makes a difference in the attitude of the people that's treating you.
Customer service. It is the service that they are providing to you. And when you're going through, the last thing you want to hear is someone's attitude or see someone's attitude.
And you are absolutely right.
I had a phone call like that. Yeah, I had a phone call where I was trying to schedule something and she was telling me she was having a bad day. And I said, well, let me know when you get diagnosed with cancer and they have to cut off your, let's keep it real here. Customer service makes a difference.
It does.
And the person that just asked that question, which is Jill, she's actually a veteran and she received some of her treatment. I believe it was at UNC, and she's actually going to be on our show on the 10th. Okay. And her husband is Pastor Barry, who will be on the panel next week with you. Right. Yeah. You guys are going to get along great. But seeing from that caregiver side again, and from the person who's actually going through, and I see just from our comments, we have nurses up here. We have a nurse who's a caregiver. We have thrivers up here. We have veterans up here. We have people who have lost their mothers and fathers to this nasty disease. So the fact that we're talking about this, there's a platform for it. Like, I really, really thank you, because I know there's one person on here right now whose best friend was diagnosed with the same thing you were diagnosed with. Right. And it's been difficult. And I kept saying, just listen to our podcast, because it's not easy for family and friends. You talked about Terrell. He is your guy. Yeah. And to hear that word cancer really, really does affect their behavior. And Jill says it's very interesting to see it from a VA perspective of treatment and how well your treatment was.
Yeah. And it was very well. One thing that I really do want to stress on this platform is that men really don't want to talk about it. They just don't want to talk about it. There are issues that go along with with prostate cancer, and sometimes men just think that they can handle it by themselves. But I'm trying to tell you, we're not made that way. We're made really to be able to link and sync together to support one another. We're not meant to be alone. You're not meant to handle things all by yourself. My wife, my wife tells me all the time. She says, if I got something that I got to do, right? And she says, so what you doing today? And I give it a rundown or whatever. And she said, well, you got Brother Alex going with you, you got Terrell going with you. And I'm like, yeah. She said, okay. Because there was a time I'm like, no, I can handle it. I can do it by myself. But God has got me into another thing now where understanding that this fellowship is important. And it's not just for you. And it's not just about the physicality of the physical aspect of it. It's about the relationship. It's about the relationship. And everybody needs that person in their life. And I'm not just talking about just the gossip with, because that's not what it's about. It's about being able to be a support to whoever it is in your life. You need somebody that you can trust, that you can spill out to. And again, not for gossip, but for encouragement and building of your character, building of your emotion, building and letting you know that when you're feeling down, this person's going to pick you up.
Yeah.
When two walk together, walking and agreeing together, these things are important. And you got to have some guys. Listen, you gotta have somebody. You gotta have another brother with you. You gotta have another brother with you all the time.
We are all connected, as Alex said. We are all connected.
That's right. That's my boy right there.
Alex Scott.
Brother Alex. Yeah, brother Alex.
Well, first of all, I love your name, Alex. But yeah, we are all together, like preach. We are all together, and we are all connected.
Yeah.
So going through this, your glow, because you already had a glow about you. I told you earlier when I talked to you that one of my sisters was like, "Yeah, I really, really like him. He's great." Because your walk, what you do, all those things. But before I finish my thought, let me see what Michael is talking about, who will also be on the panel, and he was the guest a couple of weeks ago. And that's one of the things that is lacking, the support of other men. Yep. And that's why I'm doing the panel next week, because everyone has liked this, me having all men on my platform. Don't worry, ladies, we're coming back, and we're coming back strong. But I thought it was important from the thriver side, the caregiver side, just from the vet side, just seeing that was important. Where's that connection at? And now that you're doing things for the community, you form more connections. We talked about Cruising Against Cancer. Tell me a little bit about that.
Cruising Against Cancer is a 501c3, a nonprofit that's designed to take cancer fighters, survivors, and their family on cruises for absolutely free. And so the whole thing was helping us because again, when I formed the organization, I had never been on a cruise. So I didn't even know whether I was going to like it. I always wanted to go, but I thought that, after hearing about them, I always thought that I would be able to, just go there and just enjoy it and travel to these exotic places. You know what I mean? So I started the organization, and then go on the first cruise, and it was awesome. Yeah, I mean, and let me tell you this real fast. The very first cruise, me, my wife, got some family members, my mom, my uncle, some friends, and so we're on the cruise, and like I said, I had never been on one, and so the ship actually leaves the port late. They leave the port late. And so what happens is the ship takes off because they've got to be at the next destination at a certain time. Man, this ship takes off. And so now it's rocking. We walking down, walking in the aisles and walking down the hallway, and we holding on. I'm saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna like this, So we get dressed. It's still rocking like that. We go to dinner, and stuff is kind of sliding. I'm saying, oh no, I don't know. I didn't say anything though.
Yeah.
But anyway, at 10 o'clock, it settled down, and I'm saying, oh, this is sweet.
Nice.
So we go out and we do all, on the ship because it's the first time. It's all, exciting. And, but after that, no problem. So that was my first experience on a cruise ship. But after that, no problem. Had a good time. And so we've been going every year. We haven't gone the last 2 years. The year before, we had some stuff going on in the family, couldn't go, and then, or decided not to go.
Yeah.
And then pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And we didn't go last year. And so we're set to go to Puerto Maya, some place over there, in 21 or this year, on the latter part of the year. So we're planning to go there. if they're open.
If they're open,
if they're open.
If we, if the world, I'm thinking it's going to be 2022.
I'm thinking, yeah. I mean, because if these numbers are still the same, we won't go. But we're still building the organization, though. We're still trying to revamp some things so that we can still, because Cruising Against Cancer is really designed in what we call therapy at sea. Relaxation through therapy at sea. And so we're trying to get folks to, when you're going through what we've been through, people got so much on their mind. Everybody don't know God. I mean, let truth be known. And I'm not condemning anybody. You do what you do. We're just here to try to help you just for 5 days to give you an opportunity to just relax, where you don't have to pay for nothing. You can just go and just relax.
So you pick them up, you take them there, you provide the transportation there, you provide all the stuff that they have going on, and then you provide the transportation back home. That's
the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. And that goal takes
donations, kind of funds,
and money, right?
Yep. You need. I mean, we that's what we need. We need support. We always talked about the NBA and all of these folks that could help to help these people. And so you know what? It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. My word for the year is consistent. Just be consistent in everything that you do. That's my word for the year. And you need to take that put that on the bottom of your screen.
Put that on the bottom of the screen.
Consistent.
Be producer. And my thing is grace period. So I'm taking this time where all the world is crazy, life is crazy. It's my grace period.
Right.
The
grace period. Yes.
It's my grace period. And during this time, I will find grace. I will find meaning. And they actually found your site, Cruising Against Cancer.
There it is.
So we'll definitely link it to this live, and we'll link it to your podcast as well, so people can understand, because there's other things you can also do if you're not up and running with Cruising Against Cancer. There are things you can still do for individuals for respite, for time. It's a lot to go through. Now, since Cruising Against Cancer is on hold for a little bit, we talked briefly at the very beginning of this show about your other glow that you're doing. You're feeding North Carolina.
Feed NC now. Feed NC now. Yes. Feed NC now. Now that came as a result of the brothers at our church, the Men of Integrity. That's the name of our men's group. And we had started feeding the community. We were cooking hot dogs and hamburgers once a month and feeding them out here on Murchison Road in Fayetteville. The goal was to, do different locations throughout the city, once a month, so we were trying to get a grill and we were trying to get this. And so things were growing, we're feeding, 100 to 125 people on our feeding days once a month. And then the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit, and we were calling it Feed Fayetteville 2019, because our goal was 2019 people. Then it was Feed Fayetteville 2020, and then we were going to get one more. and so then in 2020, of course, all this happened. The pandemic happened, so we didn't feed we fed January and February. We missed March, April, May, June, July, and August. We came back in September, and from September to December, we wound up feeding over 4,000 people, because we connected with the Second Harvest Food Bank and started this Feed NC. And now we need to feed NC, feed North Carolina right now. And so that's what this is about. And so we started these volunteers. And so it just went from just the men's groups, because now we've got the Cumberland County Association of Educators that's connected with us, North Carolina Action NC, They're helping us too. And so so now we're getting all these volunteers, and we're getting more and more people that are interested in helping us, because people always want to be associated with something that's happening.
Yeah.
That you're doing something, not just talking about it, but being about it. Like my wife said, don't talk about it, be about it.
Be about it. Be a servant.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what we are. We're servant leaders.
Yeah.
We're servants, but we're leading in the community, saying because we have tried to connect with other churches to try to do some stuff, and sometimes people just don't want to do anything. So hey, I am not going to pull you by your cable toe and just beating you over the head. Your congregation can really help us if you want to. But if you don't want to, we'll just go, because we're going to do it anyway. But together, we could probably do more. We could do more.
You connected with Second Harvest Food Bank because you had the people, he had the means.
That's
you
right.
Guys came together,
That's
and
exactly
now you're
right.
feeding people not during a pandemic, layered on top of everything else. Because people have lost jobs during this time. Those jobs are not coming back.
Hey, listen.
16th will be my full year of not traveling and working.
In the world. Right.
And I'm not going back.
Hey, listen, we've had people that were in line. If you go to Feed NC Now and to the website, you can download the app, and the app will allow you to know every place we're going.
Oh wow.
And so then you can share it with anybody else. And so I don't care whether you're in Cary, but they have food that's in Fayetteville. You can come and get some food. And I know y'all got stuff going on up there in that area, but the idea is that maybe you might need some more.
Yeah.
Maybe you might need some more. And so you can come down here and get it. And so you'll be able to, hey, that's good. And so, so you'll be able to go on there and look at, what's going on in Fayetteville or wherever we're going, St. Paul's, Clinton, and get the food. But then you can see, we got a couple of videos on there where you can see the line of people that are waiting to get this food.
Yeah.
And that's what this is about. Again, it started as a result of brothers coming together, and let me stress that it's important for, again, men to come together. You're not going to get a whole bunch of men to a prayer meeting. But when you say that you got to paint the church, they're going to be there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to come and I'm going to paint because I know that's we got to do. Men got to, men want to do something. Yeah. They don't want to just be sitting back talking.
Exactly.
They want to do something. And so with the men of integrity, that's what this was all about, for us to come together, and it just grew into Feed NC Now. And now we are feeding thousands of people. And I'm again, and I'll say it and I won't never stop. I'm just so thankful to God that he chose us to do this.
Wow.
Amazing.
Look how you are glowing. Look what your glow is doing. Tell Vance you did a good job.
She did a good job. She keeps me in check now.
I am so happy, Pastor Rick, that you came on. And I'm so glad. Like he said, you said a mouthful. Real talk. Real talk. Y'all gonna make me just have a men's, live once a month. Just put it out there. If you guys are willing, hey, I'm willing to open up that spot.
Count me in.
Well, I thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're coming up on the hour, and I appreciate you so much. And guys, go to Feed NC Now. You can download the app. They need volunteers. They need donations. They need your time. Remember, we're layering a lot of stuff on top of people, from cancer to job loss to the pandemic. So you guys travel too. Like when you say that you were in Clinton, you were here, download that app, guys. This is the time. And don't forget about Cruising Against Cancer, which will be coming soon, hopefully towards the end of the year, maybe 2022. But this is a time to get the donations. This is a time to have your grace period and put stuff together. And also tell us about your church.
The Restoration Place, a place of restoration. Yeah, that's our ministry. And we're excited because we've got the support that my wife and I get from that ministry is just so awesome. I mean, we're a small ministry, but this is what we're doing. We're doing this, and my folks come out and they volunteer. You know, I love them, and they are amazing. They're funny. They're amazing.
Well, one thing they're not is snowflakes.
Right? They don't just disappear.
They don't just disappear.
No, they don't. No, they don't. We've had one of our congregants, one of the members, at the let's see, when was it? December time frame. She had COVID. Yeah. And it was hard, you know, single mom, and she went through, but rallied the troops, and the people came through, just taking care of her and the kids right at Christmas time, and it was amazing. So our church, I love these guys and ladies, and they are awesome, and they're there for us, have been, and I believe that they will always. And one of the things is that they're growing. Yeah. You know, we're growing together, really. Yeah. You know, because it's not like I've pastored before, so you know, I don't know what I'm doing. You know, but you know, God has taken us through together, and at least given us understanding that, you know, here's some of the things, and they keep me in check too. They keep me in check too. You know, what about? Okay, I ain't even think about that. Well, thank you. I got
it. With your wife and with your family and with your community, you're in check.
Yeah, I'm in check.
Well, I can't wait to see you next Wednesday at 8. You'll be joining me with Michael Virgil and with Pastor Barry. We're going to wrap up our segment. You know, February is the shortest month, but that means absolutely nothing to me. Right. So we're going to wrap up our segment at the end of next week on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. So everyone, please join us. And again, please remember to shine your glow. What are you doing? Understand that the glow doesn't define me. I define the glow. And I am so happy, so happy for you joining me today. And a lot of people can't do one thing. The man does at least 3 things. What in the world? Who put that on my screen? The man does at least 3 things. Women, I need you to tell them about our multitasking around here. Miss Jill. Okay.
Well, all right, I'm really on that one.
I know. You see, I just read it because it popped up there. Well, I can't wait to see you next Wednesday at 8. Join us live. Chemo Glow. Bye, guys.